Me. What we are about to discuss today is rare. Most people watch football and see a game. What you're about to see is something else entirely. Your phone rings at 6 a.m. You have just been awarded the contract to run the complete supply chain behind one of the largest football tournaments on earth. Not the match. Everything behind the match. Millions of fans moving. Billions of dollars in goods sourced. Food flowing across 3 nations. Stadiums built to a deadline. One mistake visible to 5 billion people. This is not sport. This is enterprise operations under global pressure. Plan, source, make, deliver, return, enable. The match lasts 90 minutes. The supply chain behind it runs for years. 3 nations, 16 cities, 5 million visitors, 5 billion watching. Now coordinate airports, customs, food demand, hotels, stadium inventory, medical readiness, and fan transport simultaneously across 5,000 kilometers. At this scale, one delay becomes many delays. One forecasting error creates empty shelves on live television. Scale is not dangerous because it is large. It is dangerous because complexity multiplies faster than volume. That is what elite supply chains are built to control. The tournament begins long before kickoff. It begins in forecasting. How many fans will travel? Which cities will fill fastest? What if a major nation reaches the final unexpectedly? One forecast is amateur thinking. Professionals build 3 demand scenarios simultaneously. Base case, 4.8 million visitors. Upside, 5.5 million. Stress case, 3.9 million. Ahem. Counting for disruption. Every warehouse lease, food contract, and freight booking is sized against all 3 curves. Not one number, 3. A wrong forecast does not stay in a spreadsheet. It becomes visible chaos later. Plan is not predicting one future. It is preparing for several. $4 billion in goods, sourced from more than 40 countries. Every visible object in this tournament began months earlier inside a factory somewhere in the world. Balls, jerseys, medical kits, turf systems, kitchen supplies, broadcast equipment, signage. The ball has hand-stitched, 18 weeks lead time, certified and re-inspected before it reaches any pitch. Jerseys, 14 to 18 weeks in production, demand forecast made 18 months in advance. One missed production slot can delay ports, retail launches, and stadium readiness simultaneously. Sourcing is not buying cheaply, it is buying certainty before the pressure begins. A football tournament does manufacture something. It manufactures the live event experience. Every match day must be built from zero, pitch prepared, lighting tested, security lanes opened, broadcast feeds activated, food kitchens ready, medical stations live, volunteer teams deployed, cleaning crews reset between fixtures. This repeats across multiple cities, sometimes on the same day. In factories, make builds products. Here, make builds flawless moments under a fixed deadline. Kickoff time does not move. That is what makes operations brutal. 50,000 containers of ocean freight, 8,000 tons of air freight. Ocean freight handles volume, cheap and slow. Air freight handles urgency, expensive and fast. Elite planners know exactly when to use each. Now, imagine this. 48 hours before kickoff, 500 containers frozen at entry, 80,000 fans already landing, food stock critical in 2 host cities. The world watching. The pre-approved escalation protocol activates immediately. Compliance teams at 6 major entry points work through the night. Alternative inland routing triggered. This response was written 18 months ago and rehearsed 6 months out. Deliver is not transport, it is controlled movement through risk. 2.5 million square feet, across 16 cities. Forderdetir, mega distribution centers received from ports. City hubs stage by match, not by date. Stadium zones deploy in zero delay. Emergency buffers activate in 48 hours. Cold chain runs at -18 frozen, plus 4 chilled, 25 ambient, simultaneously. 2 million active items. 99.5% accuracy target. A warehouse is not a building, it is a decision engine. And in this operation, it runs 24 hours a day. 500,000 hotel rooms pre-allocated before a single ticket goes on sale. Team hotels are the most complex nodes. Training pitch, medical facility, kitchen audited for 50+ dietary requirements. All customized 24 months in advance. When a popular nation advances unexpectedly, demand surges overnight. Rooms tighten, transport pressure rises, beds are inventory, rooms are capacity, check-ins are demand signals. Hospitality is not a support function, it is a supply chain node. Last mile usually means parcels. Here it means 80,000 people into one stadium in 3 hours. And back out in 90 minutes. 3 demand waves. Arrival. Halftime. And the post-match exit. The most operationally demanding. Peak throughput. 80,000 passengers per hour. 90-minute clearance target. 15-minute maximum wait. 1,500 shuttle buses per venue. Fan transport demand is forecast the same way consumer goods demand is forecast. When a nation advances unexpectedly, their city transport scales within 48 hours. Deliver is not only products. Sometimes the flow is people. 2.8 million meals on peak match days. Farm to stadium across 3 nations, 300 vendors, 16 kitchens. Pre-staging begins 8 hours before kickoff. Concessions stocked 2 hours before gates open. The halftime window is 15 minutes. Miss it by 5, 80,000 people, nothing to sell. Cold chain, -18 to 25 degrees. Maintain from source to fork. Any deviation triggers immediate diversion and destruction. Cuisine demand forecast updated 48 hours before each match by team nationality. The kitchen knows the demand profile before the fans arrive. Make and deliver working together under a deadline that never moves. When the final whistle sounds, another supply chain begins. Unused stock returned. Reusable assets moved to next venue. Waste processed. Rental equipment recovered. Temporary structures dismantled. When a major nation is eliminated, hundreds of thousands of fans repatriate within 72 hours. That is demand sensing in reverse. Post-tournament, 2.5 million square feet vacated, 50,000 containers exported, 90-day closeout. Most people only admire arrival. Return is where professionals recover value. A 3PL moves freight. A 4PL manages the 3PLs. A 5PL orchestrates the entire ecosystem, suppliers, data, risk, budget, as one system. 200 pre-approved risk playbooks, real-time visibility across 2 million line items, 3-tier escalation from venue to global command. This tournament does not succeed because nothing fails. It succeeds because failure was designed for before it arrived. Dual-sourced supply chains recover from disruptions in 11 days. Single-sourced recover in 47. Redundancy looks wasteful in normal conditions. Watched by 5 billion people. Redundancy is the product. Fans see host cities. Supply chain sees nodes. West Coast, primary Pacific inbound gateway. Gulf Coast, Southern Corridor and cross-border trucking. East Coast, Atlantic inbound and aviation gateway. Southern hub, 2 port entries. High compliance complexity, 180,000 cross-border freight movements, each requiring documentation, each carrying compliance risk. Networks decide winners long before match day. Here is a real operational case. A large business, multi-market operations, 1 peak demand event per year, single forecasting model for both normal and peak demand. 1 number, 1 plan, no separate scenario for the spike. Peak arrives. Demand runs well over 3 times the baseline. Emergency air freight activated across 4 markets simultaneously. Significant freight costs. From 1 planning parameter, never reviewed. A peak event is not normal demand with extra volume. It is a different supply chain problem. It needs a different plan. All of it from 1 missing scenario, that is not bad luck. That is a planning failure. When the anthem plays, most people see football. Now you see something else. You see plan behind the demand model. You see source behind every jersey. You see make behind match day readiness. You see deliver behind every fan in a seat. You see return after the final whistle. You see enable holding it all together. When supply chain works, it is invisible. When it fails, it becomes the story. The match lasts 90 minutes. The supply chain behind it ran for years. You started this episode as a football fan. You end it seeing the world through supply chain eyes. This is SCM Decoded, where supply chain explains the world. Tell us in the comments, which part surprised you most? SCM Decoded, the global supply chain community, real operations, deep theory decoded.